Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to update 4. So today we're talking about experimenting with the art. This kind of deals more looks and feels of the book, how it's kind of all come together, because as I may have stated before, the direction for this book was definitely not one that I had seen coming. I didn't see this path or trajectory for the artwork because it took a very different direction than it was previously on. But an amazingly advantageous part of this experimental kind of approach to this new book format that I felt God just like dropped in my lap was the unique ability to use almost every type of art that I had produced for Revelations over like the past 2 decades. Things like hundreds of sketches, illustrations, paintings from art shows, sketchbooks, different drawings and things I did at conferences, you name it. Like all these different kinds of formats and different incarnations of the characters and artwork that I've done for years have all kind of found their way into this new format for the book. And it makes sense with it being sketches from people and characters in the story, found artwork that is kind of circulating around the time because a lot of the characters are kind of seen more like heroes, revolutionaries, freedom fighters, and then like campaign posters for like the political rulers and people in office at the time. So a lot of it makes sense now as I created it for various different purposes throughout my career and through the life of the project. Now they're surfacing and finding their way in really kind of cool ways that I didn't really see coming, or definitely didn't create them for at the time. So no artwork left behind, the phrase waste not, want not. So I think it's kind of a cool opportunity for a lot of people who aren't familiar with Revelations. They haven't been there since the beginning. Maybe they're not familiar with the artwork, or they just missed certain things because they didn't go to a conference, or they weren't part of an art show that I did out here because they lived in another state or another country. So I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of people to see the totality and the full body of work that Revelations is. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hello. So today I do a little bit of a hybrid day. As you can see, I'm on my computer. So we're working a little bit with writing as well as some of the artwork. I'm not actually illustrating today, but I am working with illustrations and design for layout and text purpose. So let's look over at the computer, see what I'm working on. Okay, so here's what we're doing. Today is a hybrid day, like I mentioned. So it's a little bit in between design and writing. My process is very interesting because I kind of fell into it, or it was a little bit of organically structured. I'll just kind of go into this. So basically, I had the manuscript written. Most of the stuff is in Microsoft Word. I work with my editor. We go back and forth with the manuscript. Once it gets approved, then we get to this phase where I'm able to design it and do illustrations. Some illustrations may be hand-drawn, some may be directly in the computer on a tablet. So this is a chapter page, and this is some of the artwork for this chapter 1 art. Ariel's up here, and we have Zabuda down here. So what I had to do was figure out the layout for this experimental kind of journal clipbook kind of look, where it's almost like a, what's it called when the book is a bunch of collages from different clippings. So we have notes from the narrator here, and we have some typed up cards that he posted. This is chapter 1. Here goes the title. There's another part of this. Yeah, here's the beginning of the actual storyline, and then the artwork that goes around it. And the chapter pages tend to be different. They have the most illustration involved. So what we do, I had to go in here, lay everything out, take the manuscript, place it, and make sure everything fits. I'm doing designs and working around the text, so it's not challenging it too much. But now that I'm getting to the final stages, I realize I need another publishing program to work with the text better, because Photoshop is not the best dealing with this much text. So what I do, and I'm having learned this in the process of teaching myself to do these things. I already know Photoshop really well, but doing type, I used to work in Quark back in the day. Now I'm in a different program called InDesign. So what I'm doing is we'll take out and remove and separate the text. So we have these text blocks, and then we're taking them out. and I want to have a flat, just the artwork for the background. I'll flatten that so I can use that and bring it into the other program, which is InDesign. So InDesign gives you a lot more flexibility with dealing with text and type. So what I had to do was separate all the artwork, and then now these are editable blocks of text. So I can go back in if there's any edits or notes from the editor. The text part is movable, is editable, and these aren't finally placed. They need to be like rotated accordingly and different things, so they're not final yet. But just to show you some of the hybrid work of working with the artwork, the design, as well as the text. And I had no idea how to use InDesign, so I'm kind of going through this thing and teaching myself how InDesign works, and really going through the process of how to lay things out for printing, for editors, for different people who are going to potentially need to see this laid out a very specific way. So that's some of the tips and just a little bit of what my work today looks like on one of these hybrid days. Next time I may show you some more focused illustration work on the drawing side, and on other days it'll be more the manuscript where it's just writing and dealing with the editor notes. So I hope this was informative and helpful for you guys to see, because I'm learning as well. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Hello. So not all the artwork on the book right now is recycled or reusing some of the stuff from the original book. A substantial amount of the artwork is actually new. Today is one of my work days for doing art. I'll be doing the main chapter page for chapter 2. I'll show you a little bit. I'm on my fancy gloves. I'll be a little bit on the iPad, and I do a lot of the illustrations nowadays directly on the iPad. I use a Wacom or Wacom tablet for a lot of my illustrations, especially on the first book. Some of it was analog and some was in the computer, and I was on like Intuos 2 and a little bit on a Cintiq, but recently I have been in Procreate on the iPad, and I found that this Apple Pencil and the setup in the iPad Pro with Procreate is pretty intuitive and pretty sensitive to how I draw. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that today, and you can watch and follow along if you're interested in seeing some of the process on the art side and how these things have come together. So some reference here on a laptop, and I'll be doing drawing here. Let's check it out. All right, so here we are in the computer. This is kind of like a warm-up. This is a fruit that does show up in one of the scenes, on one of the pages. It's a persimmon fruit, actually. And now we're in the drawing for one of the chapter pages. This is the beginning of chapter 2. It's a flashback where we go back to Ariel and Zebuda as young children. And this is where the artwork will go once it's final. Pretty much it. It's a little glimpse at some of the digital drawing that I do on this project. So that's it for this week. I will catch you guys on the next one.